It's time for the main event of the Lanterne Rouge YouTube channel content calendar, top 10 thermonuclear climbing performances of 2021. The watts per kilo have been calculated by the Night Tracker Twitter account. It's as close as we are going to get. First, we go to the desert in February, UAE Tour, Stage 3, easy stage, Unipuerto, finishing on Jebel Hafeet. 11Ks, 5.5%. It's the first World Tour watts per kilo test on the calendar. The Gent brought back by UAE. It was between Adam Yates and Tadej Pogacar. And here, this stage was the best example this entire year about the advantage a good TT can give to a GC leader, the incumbent advantage it has, and the difference in drafting, with Pogacar having to do 0.1 watts per kilo less than Yates, despite winning this stage. And Kuss was dropped, I think, on the second Adam Yates attack. We might have seen it only on the helicopter shot, but some awesome photographs here with 4Ks to go. And so it was just Yates pacing. Yates needing to gain back the time he'd lost in the time trial. He wasn't able to do it. Pogacar sticking to him, although looking like he was in a little bit of difficulty at points. So a really high-level performance from Yates, who did well on Superga and Milano Torino, and a lot of stages. Even Velafike, he was aggressive stage 9 Vuelta, but Pogacar won the stage. The final watts per kilo, Adam Yates, 6.43 watts per kilo for 26 minutes. Pogacar about 6.35, who took the UAE Tour GC. I can't wait for that race actually in February next year. I want Roglic to go and maybe spoil the party, to quote Carlton Kirby, the GOAT in UAE. Moving on, number 9 on my list, the Mont Ventoux stage. Now, I don't like that this was a descent finish. I'll be open with you. I would prefer that it finished on Mont Ventoux on the second ascent, but for logistical reasons or whatever reasons, it had to finish, or it did finish in Malocène down below. Ineos, who pretty much sold out Carapaz in the Tour de France. He had terrible support, which is nothing new for him at Ineos when you compare, we look at his Vuelta 2020 support as well. Kwiatkowski did his best leading out him from Chalet Renard, but then it was Jonas Vingegaard, who was supposed to be the domestique for Primoz Roglic, dropping Tadej Pogacar. Was it because this is a longer climb? Was it because of the heat? I think it might be a combination of the two of them, and also Pogacar had a 5-minute lead, so he just could pretty much park it on the pace he wanted, and he knew he couldn't lose very much time to Jonas, and he ended up losing no time, which I guess was the shame of the stage. Jonas putting 40 seconds into Pog, Carapaz and Uran at the top of Mont Ventoux, setting a new record from Chalet Renard to the top, 6.25 watts per kilo for 16.5 minutes, but it's a longer climb than that, but he'd actually gained none of that time in GC, caught right at the finish after the descent. Number 8, this list would not be complete without some Portuguese action. Is this the best climber in the world that you don't know his name? Part 2, Jose Neves Fernandes on W52 Bombers. He was incredibly strong on the Conti scene in Portugal this year. He won the Portuguese national championships. He had Almeida under pressure, might have even dropped him on the climbs there. And there's no footage of these attempts or these climbing performances that I'm referring to. You'll recognize cat-like goat helmets, W52 Bombers. Pray for Alarcon. Maybe Cass will reduce his sentence and we'll see Alarcon against Moreira in La Grandissima next year. Apparently that's a 90% chance of that actually happening. But Jose Neves, again, this is kind of like Yates and Pogacar on Hafeet. He was 19 seconds behind Figueiredo for Fapel in GP Torres Vedra, but his best performances, this guy, he's like 58 kilos, 2 time trials this year, uphill time trials. I could not find the footage anywhere for love nor money. 6.71 watts per kilo for 19.5 minutes up Senhora de Graça. I think it might have been the record on that climb, which Alarcon has done or did at a pretty hot time as well. But that was a TT, and then he did Senhora Assunção, 7 watts per kilo for 14 minutes, which I think is higher than Roglic in Milano Torino on the Superga climb. So incredibly high level climber, Jose Neves. Antunes, Brandao, Rodriguez, Alarcon and Neves next year for W52 would be the most cracked mountain train, would win the Giro easily. Number 7, Gamoniteiru, stage 18 of the Vuelta a España, the hardest mountaintop finish in World Tour cycling this year. It was like 14 Ks, 9.5%. Tratnik was chasing the break. There was also Oliveira, Verona, Rojas were pacing, and Bernal attacked with like 5Ks to go, trying to gap Roglic. He made that massive effort and tried on stage 17 on Covadonga the day before, but the best climber in the world, over 45 minutes climb duration, and particularly when it goes to altitude, which it normally does when it's to climb that long, Miguel Angel Lopez. Movistar needs him more than he needs them. They should have made peace with him. Took their only Grand Tour stage this year, the Queen stage of the Vuelta of Spain. He keeps winning Queen stages. Col de la Loze, Tour de France, Gamoniteiru at La Vuelta. He was a good domestique for Mas in the Tour and Valverde at the Criterium de Dauphiné, and I can't wait to see how he goes at Astana next year. Huge performance for him, 6 watts per kilo for 50 minutes on the steep Gamoniteiru, and he also did a great performance on Ventoux as well, but that's not a World Tour race, so I don't really care about it, frankly. Number 6, the stage won by Lorenzo Fortunato. Contador is still traveling to Milan from Madrid, apparently. The Zoncolan stage. This list wouldn't be complete without some Bernal inclusions, who doesn't do like crazy high watts per kilo all the time, or not like Pog and Rog recently, but he does good or really, really high numbers on hard stages in difficult conditions. And to be actually on Colari Yamena, which we'll see later, he did really good watts per kilo as well, nearly dropping or putting Roglic under pressure. But on Zoncolan, he dropped Yates. He was incredibly aggressive all throughout the Giro d'Italia. A little bit of a wobble at the end, which we'll forgive him for, but that was 6.08 watts per kilo for 40 minutes on Zoncolan, gaining even more time on GC. Now for number 5, the shortest climb on the list, the Mur de Huy in Fleche Wallonne. This was between Roglic and Julian Alaphilippe. Roglic decided to launch at like 400 meters to go, which was a bold move. Cotton, and it didn't work out for him. Alaphilippe chasing him back more steadily. Valverde, he came third, I think, in Fleche, which is crazy. And Alaphilippe winning Fleche for like the 3rd time. But both he and Roglic set about the same time, which was their equal record on the Mur de Huy, but the best time ever on this harder course. 8.7 watts per kilo for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Alaphilippe, the best puncher in the world. Number 4, Tirreno Adriatico, Wout van Aert in the leader's jersey. We have the Prati di Tivo climb, long, steady, 6 to 7% graded, and Tadej Pogacar went nuke mode. Ineos tried to hit him with the 1-2 with Thomas and Bernal, and it did not play out the way they hoped, with Pogacar countering, dropping Thomas pretty much off the wheel, taking the stage win and much needed time back on Wout van Aert. 6.3 watts per kilo for 36 minutes on Prati di Tivo. Yates not that far behind though, Simon Yates about 10 seconds behind, but Pog cleaning up Tirreno Adriatico GC, the best, most complete GC performance this year, Pogacar in Tirreno Adriatico. And we'll stay with him. We're now on to the podium, number 3. Like the video down below, by the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown. I'm enjoying it, actually. Let's see if we can hit 3,000 likes, and subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoy these season reviews. This is Le Grand Bonhomme, terrible weather, stage 8. Pog already in the white jersey. He's about to take the yellow jersey off. And Mathieu van der Poel, Wout van Aert. Tao Geoghegan moves up, but can't even get up to Formolo because Pog is about to hit their leader, Carapaz, with 2Ks left to go on Col de Romme. He attacks him twice. If you go and look at Carapaz's power data, pretty impressive even from him on this climb. He'll obviously be the favourite and should win the Giro d'Italia next year if Pog and Rog don't go. Pogacar doing 6.42 watts per kilo on Col de Romme, descent. Then he had the Col de Colombiere where he did 6.22 watts per kilo, gaining 3.5 minutes on GC, breaking the will of all the other GC contenders. But for the first rest day of the Tour de France, he gets an insane wet weather and cold conditions buff. Now for number 2, one of my favorite stages of the year, finishing 2,100 meters up at La Plaine, stage 7 of the Criterium de Dauphiné on the Saturday. Movistar pacing with Rojas, Verona, and Oliveira, Riti as well for Miguel Angel Lopez, who I think might have been the favorite for this stage, alongside Richie Porte, who was in good climbing condition, and Porte destroyed Lopez at the end of the stage. Even Ballard did a pull for the boys, but it was when Richie Porte went, Mark Padun, who was at the back of the group and just decided to close to Porte, who's there with Mars and Sepp Kuss, And Marc Padun, who got the mechanical when he was in the break with Narvaez in the Giro in 2020, missing out on a stage win opportunity there, dropped Kuss off the wheel on this climb and did, I think, the second best or maybe the best performance over 40 minutes in cycling this year at World Tour level, particularly going up above 2,000 meters, doing 6.16 watts per kilo for 45 minutes on La Plana and backing it up the next day on Col du Jouplan, winning that stage as well. But now for the top most thermonuclear climbing performance this year, stage 17 to Lagos de Covadonga. Incontrovertible that this is the best climbing performance and maybe the best performance of the year, if not for Roglic Olympics TT, which is up there. Sivakov was pacing after Pidcock and Puccio, and the plan was for Bernal to go on Collado Jomena with 61 k's to go in the rain, but it wasn't too cold. And Movistar caught napping. Roglic sitting on Bernal on the second to last climb, then pacing with him in the flat valley afterwards, and almost like dropping Bernal or putting him under a lot of pressure in that valley. This is while Wout Poels and Tratnik and all the domestiques are chasing him behind in the valley. And then on the Covadonga climb, drops Bernal. He could not follow me anymore with 7.6 k's to go. Absolutely huge performance from Primož Roglic. It was started by Bernal. Roglic finished it. My favorite performance ever from Roglic as well. 6.45 watts per kilo for 22 minutes, pacing the valley. We don't really know exactly at what watts, and then 6.15 watts per kilo on Covadonga. Huge performance. Wrapped up the Vuelta, put a bow on it, and he takes out the inaugural Lanterne Rouge top 10 nuclear climbing performances #1 spot for 2021. We'll see who will take it next year. Who do you think will it be? Will it be Jose Neves at La Grandissima? Will it be Pogacar, Roglic, Adam Yates, Bernal? Who will take out the #1 spot next year? I'd like to see Padun at the Giro d'Italia. I think it would really suit him there. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure if you disagree with my list or the order, you comment down below who you think should be the #1 spot or wherever you think the order is messed up. And make sure you check out Nightchaka on Twitter. I'll link his tweet down below in the description. But until the next one, ciao.